They're finding billions and it will be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud. I say waste and abuse, but fraud, waste, and abuse. And he's doing an amazing job. And he attracts a young, very smart type of person. I call them high IQ individuals.
Let's be clear about something. There has been waste and fraud and abuse in the federal government. Last year, not this year, the Inspector General for the Social Security Administration issued a massive report. It showed that from 2015 to 2022, the administration made improper payments of almost $72 billion. Most of them were overpayments. They clawed a lot of it back, but at the end of 2023, there were still $23 billion in overpayments out there. So there is waste, and we are glad that we know about it, thanks to the inspectors general whose job it is to uncover it, to put out those full reports and take action, which they have done. But here's what you need to know. The Trump administration has already fired more than a dozen of them. Ron and Dan are still with us. Ron, the idea of DOGE is a great one, but it is being presented as if there is no auditing, no accountability in the government in its current format, and that's not even the case. I mean, we have people that are working on it. We could use more, and they're blowing them out.
Well, General Accounting Office has done this assessment on multiple occasions, said there's anywhere from $250 billion to $500 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse, misspent payments, Medicare overcharges, and the like. And yeah, absolutely, those things should be ferreted out. I mean, as long as the system stays intact and the people who get the benefits that they are entitled to receive them. I mean, this notion that there are 140-year-olds, my maternal grandfather would be 140, is still receiving his Social Security check is just, absurd. And that was one of the things that was put out by Elon Musk earlier, that there are all these dead people still collecting checks, and there's been maybe a handful.
None of us are defending the status quo, right? 99% of Americans would say, yes, let's find the waste, let's find the fraud, and we're currently doing that. But there are folks out there saying it's great that Elon Musk is there. We've got the brightest and biggest name in business, the greatest builder of our time, going into the government to clean this up. But can you imagine when Hank Paulson became the Treasury Secretary, if he would have remained on as the CEO and chairman of Goldman Sachs and at the same time been our Treasury Secretary, the country would be set on fire. That's what we're dealing with, and more with Elon Musk.
Yeah, I guess the issue is this, is like, if he wants to make change, sell it. You know what I mean? Be transparent, that sort of thing. I think a lot of the representations that they've made are things that really actually don't make a lot of sense to the American people, right? We know that there's fraud. Figure it out, sell it to the American people, put a plan in place, that sort of thing.
Show it to us.
Well, no, show it to us. I mean, I just do think it's a little bit early. We're, a month and a half into this administration. And so if you're going to take a great American, the way he is thought of here, and he's a builder, as you just said, he's done some amazing things at some companies, well, then just really kind of go forward with it. Set up some organizations, give some transparency, that sort of thing. The way you would do it within a business, right? And so let's give it a little time. Let's see what happens. I think Elon probably gets bored of the chaos once he gets to a point where there just realizes that there's not a whole heck of a lot of fraud that you can cut right now.
Okay, but before we give him time, how about Elon Musk removing his conflicts of interest, right? He's not hiding the fact that he is still doing business while he's part of this administration. And it was highlighted last week when Donald Trump was asked about it. Watch this.
I assume he wants to do business in India, but India is a very hard place to do business in because of the tariffs. They have the highest tariffs just about in the world.
I was wondering whether he's meeting with the CEO or meeting with a representative of your government.
Well, he's meeting with me in a little while, so I'm going to ask him that question. All right?
So that's the Prime Minister of India, Modi, meeting with Elon Musk. And Donald Trump basically saying maybe they're talking government, maybe they're talking business. I get that the business community, the CEO community thus far, many are like, well, let's see what Elon Musk does. They don't care about USAID getting cut because it doesn't impact them. But how is it okay to Elon Musk's competitors, right? If you are IBM or Microsoft or Google or any of these massive tech companies, if on government property at Blair House, across the street from the White House, Elon Musk is meeting with a head of state as though he's a head of state and potentially doing real business.
As an unelected special employee of the government, I guess it's currently called, is his role. I don't know. I mean, and it's happening right in front of our eyes, and you don't hear a hue and cry. from the very people you just described, CEOs of his competitors, of other companies who don't have the same access to the Oval Office or to the old executive office building to hold
or to
a
world
meeting.
Leaders
Or to world
besides
leaders.
the president.
Yeah. I mean, look, they do in a certain sense. The biggest CEOs have always, going back throughout my career, have met with government officials. You can go back as far as you want. Armand Hammer met with Lenin, in the early 1900s and did oil business with Russia.
Was he doing it in the White House?
No. And that's the difference. And the conflicts are rife, to say the very least.
I mean, he clearly sees dollar signs, right? So China was a huge market for Tesla. It's really stalled. They have a lot of competition. The tariff stuff is really a problem for him. Some of the EV tax credits that might be reversed here. He looks at India and says, okay, I need to sell, 500,000 cars there to make up for what's going on in the competition as it relates to China. That's a pretty big market, right? And then you think about SpaceX, he obviously has the market cornered here. He has really no competition. So you look at a place like one of our allies, like India, there is a space race going on. Think about Twitter. This is something meant to be the global town square. I think you want to be in places where, I think there is a lot of suppression of thought as it relates to India, but he would love to have that there. And then Grok, which he just announced, this is his kind of large language model, his chat box to compete with ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, and obviously Google Gemini. So he's got a lot of interest in the fire here.
Those companies that you mentioned, all of their CEOs were front and center at the inauguration writing big checks to Donald Trump. How are those CEOs feeling now, as Elon Musk is next to him all day, every day, and right there in a Fox News interview?
They feel outflanked. And I think that's why they were on the dais there. That's why they were giving $1 million donations to the inauguration fund. And, again, to your point, they're all competing. And at some point, the rubber's going to hit the road a bit. But these companies have to put their heads down, and they have to build, and they have to compete. And that was the case before Donald Trump won this election. I mean, he's a tough competitor. This is the Elon Musk here. So I don't think a whole heck of a lot has changed other than Musk's proximity to the president.
We recently learned that President Trump's team is now trying to rehire some of the workers that they fired, specifically some that oversee our nation's nuclear stockpile. And today, Stephen Miller was asked whether it was a mistake. Watch this.
What you're describing with the cuts in the Department of Energy, those are directed by the Senate-confirmed Secretary of Energy.
Okay, so that was the Secretary of Energy's mistake.
Well, I wouldn't use the term mistake. I would say that it's pretty standard when you're downsizing government. You make cuts, you assess those cuts, you see who needs to be rehired, who needs to be kept, who needs to be
That's not what happened here, though, Stephen.
That's not standard, not in government or not with a company that's downsizing.
Also, not when you're talking about the nation's nuclear stockpiles. I mean, this is not a small thing.
These aren't seasonal workers at Pottery Barn.
It's not a reduction in force at a company that has redundant workers and overhired for a period of time. This is of the most, sensitive types of work that can be done at the highest level of classification. So, no, this is not something that is a mistake or done lightly or done in the normal course of business.
Yeah, I would say this as it relates to nuclear power. We know that this is a very popular thing going forward. We know that this generative AI technology uses a lot of energy. Here's the good news about this. I think that our nuclear plan going forward is going to be remade by the private sector. When you think of companies like Microsoft, you think of companies like Google, that, and obviously even Elon Musk, they're doing these long-term contracts to get energy through nuclear. Here's the issue, though. It takes a long time to get these reactors back online. Think about this 3 Mile Island. They shut this thing down 40 years ago, and now it's going to be running data centers.
But they're not just talking about nuclear power.
Yeah.
The Department of Energy oversees our nuclear programs, right? Yes, nuclear power is coming. Small modular reactors are coming. What we don't want is a weapon being misfired because nobody's minding the store.